All right, we'll call this budget meeting to order. If we can please call the roll.
Mayor Brightcrus,
Here.
Vice Mayor Albritton,
Present.
Councilmember Hartman,
Here.
Councilmember Jablonski,
Here.
Councilmember Kaczynski.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mayor.
Great, thank you. If you please join me in the pledge. Okay. 6:11. All right, very good. We appreciate folks being out here for the budget meeting. This is our first budget hearing. We've had a workshop prior to this, but this is our first actual budget meeting, hearing. All right, administrative comments.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. This is the next to last stop in the budget process. Tonight, we'll be setting the final fire assessment fee and the final solid waste fee. We will have our first reading on the millage and the budget itself. Emil has a presentation to share with you all, and I just want to take a moment to thank you all for your cooperation throughout the process, the finance department's outstanding work on this, and the department directors. It's truly a collaborative process that starts for us back in February and culminates here in September with the two public budget hearings. So just nothing further. I'll turn it over to Emil, if it's okay, Mayor.
Excellent, perfect, thank you. Emil, appreciate all the work that you and your staff have done for us. Look forward to the presentation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, staff, and the public. Tonight, we're here to present for the adoption of the final fire assessment and solid waste assessment, and also for the first public hearing, as that Andy indicated, for the millage and the budget adoption. With that, let's just go into the next page. This is where we are, and this is how we got here. The next step is going to be for tomorrow for us to submit the resolution for the fire assessment of the solid waste to the Department of Revenue and Broward County. How do we get here? We created this slide to show the public, council, and everyone watching what was presented during the July 27 preliminary adoption for the fire assessment of the solid waste, as well for the millage and the budget. We presented to council during the budget workshop a recommendation about a fire contingency that was well received by council. So that change is the first line, in which we're putting $350,000 on the side from savings into the unassigned fund balance as a contingency for the expected fire assessment increase in year 27 and 28. There is a one-time cost of about $1.4 million that is expected in 2027, and a substantial increase going forward from 2028 till the end of the contract. This would alleviate a big jump from the subsidy that council approved last year of $503,000 that was going to sunset on 2025. This would allow the citizens to receive a reasonable increase year over year. And again, this is based on an estimated cost that we have already been projected for the next 7 to 8 years. It was also recommended to utilize lien money for the speed signs in the amount of $60,000. There's also recommendation to utilize $35,000 for lobbying and other expenses for the zero waste. That's what you see on the preliminary that was not included, then it's added. There was also a reduction for the surface material replenishment of $17,000, bringing that PM from 43,000 to 25,200. There was also a recommendation by council to increase the previously budgeted amount of 295,000 for T-Store, to increase that to 450,000, which is what was previously established a few years back. During that conversation was also related and provided directives to us to utilize lean money to offset that increase. We happened to go back into our books, and we were able to realize that change in savings. So rather than utilizing the 155,000 from unassigned fund balance, which is called lien funds collected on previous years, that came already from the savings, leaving that lien funds collected intact. So the amount that I shared during the budget workshop, if I remember correctly, was about roughly 150,000 that would have been the balance left. By us being able to utilize the savings realized through the changes we made, that lien funds collected balance is roughly about 322,000 instead. With that said, now we're going to jump into the four different aspects of this presentation. The first one is the solid waste rate assessment. And again, this is the final adopted resolution for this assessment. This is pretty much the summary of the table that comprehends the charges for which the customers will be experiencing in this new fiscal year. There is a gross net change year over year of about 6.78%, and that is essentially because of the contractor agreement and the changes on the CPI. This is the summary pretty much in what I just related to council and the public. For residential, there's a slight increase of $14.04. 65 and 3 as an average per parcel. Again, on the previous slide, this is an average based on the fact that the bulk waste cost is based on the lot size. Now we're jumping into, again, the final adopted fire assessment rate. This is the change. Quite frankly, on the first slide, on the third slide, when we show what changed from the preliminary into today's meeting, during the budget workshop, it was recommended, it was mentioned, if we continue to utilize that $503,000 on subsidy from the fire assessment, this would have brought the fire assessment down to $733. It was recommended to put that money on the side back into unassigned fund balance and leave the preliminary recommended fire assessment of $758.63. This represents a decrease year over year of about $5.80 to the residents. Here, this did not change our ranking. It only represents that on the preliminary fire assessment presented, the percentage increase, decrease year over year was a negative 4%. By us bringing this to the 758, it's about 1% decrease year over year. This is where the town actually ranked. No change again. This is based on the cost for police and fire compared to the population in other municipalities. With that, we go into the first public hearing for the first hearing on the tentative millage rate. We are recommending to leave the same millage as last year, and that's going to continue to have the town ranked third amongst Broward County municipalities. This is an indication of what the millage rate has been since 2018 to till present time for the last 2 years, we're recommending to leaving the same millage at 3.90. And now we go into the budget. This is an ordinance for which the first public hearing is now being presented, the first reading now. Based on the changes that were recommended by council during the budget workshop, we had to make slight changes to this amount. That was essentially the increase from the 795 T-store to the 450, and the other reductions and changes. But essentially, the amount remains pretty much steady as it was presented back in July 27. And this is the pie of the expenditures. As is common in municipalities that the main cost is essentially the operations of the town, including police and fire. With that, we finalized the presentation, and we want direction and voting from council on the adoption of the final fire assessment and solid waste, and the adoption of the first hearing on the budget and the tentative millage rate.
Yeah, Mayor?
Excellent, thank you,
We
Emil.
could read
Yes,
fire resolution item into the record.
Yeah.
And then we can have the discussion on that. We'll just do each one after the other.
perfect.
Thank you.
We can read in item number 5, please.
Certainly, Mayor. This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, providing findings, providing purpose, providing for provision and funding of fire protection services, providing for imposition and computation of fire protection assessments, providing legislative determinations of special benefit and fair apportionment, approving the final fire services assessment rates and final role relating to the provision of fire protection services, facilities, and programs in the town for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, confirming an exemption for veterans with service-connected total and permanent disability, providing for effect of adoption of resolution, providing for application of assessment proceeds, providing for conflicts and severability, and providing an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion from council on this, the fire assessment item? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, if you please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes,
Motion passes.
very good. If we, please, item number 6.
Item 6 is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, relating to the provision of solid waste services, facilities, and programs to residential properties in the Town of Southwest Ranches for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, commencing October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, providing authority for solid waste services assessments, providing purpose and definitions, providing findings, incorporating the solid waste special assessment methodology report, providing for an exemption for veterans service-connected total and permanent disability, approving the assessment role, and providing an effective date.
Do I have a motion on this item?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. This is on the solid waste. Is there any council comment on this item?
Yeah, I have a couple
Okay.
questions. Emil, the veterans service connected, that's at 50%? Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Second one is, and I think I asked this last time, but just for clarity, on the tranches for, I guess that's what they're called, tranches for the bulk trash, the difference between C and D, whereas D comes in under, is less than C. Is it because it's divided by square footage, or how does it, because every number, is, if you go across the board, is larger, and then it's like $1.50 left, or, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And for like 12 years, this has drove me crazy. Once a year, why is that? You know?
Right, right. You see where he's pointing out?
Item C, 47 to 62, 999, right? And item D, right?
C and D.
C and D or D and E?
C and D.
Got kind
Oh,
of same
okay.
thing. on page
86,
12, right?
8607 versus
Right.
8544.
Okay, I got you.
But you're increasing the square footage by over 50%. But it's like $1.50 less. And it's been that way almost virtually every time.
Yeah,
And I kind of scratch my head on that.
yeah, I think that has to do you see what he's talking about?
About the increase?
That the fact that just going through it, if we start with A, the very last column there, it starts, the increase is 6601, right? Is that what you're talking about, Gary? And then 3228, and then 8607, and then it goes down to 8544. Is that what you're talking about? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so, I
Never
mean,
got it.
I think if you can just talk through that calculation so that it's,
Quite frankly, that the way I see it is essentially, it's year over year.
Right.
The only difference is based on the number of residents actually that are applicable on each one of the lot sites. It varies depending on the classification.
Okay, so that's the common denominator is the population.
Number of units?
right.
As opposed
So
to
if it's a lower number of units, then,
Okay, well, that makes sense. It's
yeah,
your-
the cost goes up more per
Yeah,
unit.
your low, your dividend, your lower
Yeah,
denominator is lower. Okay,
Right.
that answered
Yeah.
that question on that. That was my only
no,
question.
it's good. Good, thank you.
Just couldn't get it.
Right.
Figure that one out.
Any other comments, questions from the council?
I'm good with it.
Seeing none, let me open it to the public. Any public comment on the solid waste item? Seeing none, please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes,
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Next item is the tentative millage rate. So those two items are done. The millage rate, this will be the first reading.
This is a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving and adopting the tentative millage rate for taxation of real property lying within the boundaries of the Town of Southwest Ranches for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024, commencing October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second on the item. Is there any questions, comments from
Yes.
council? Yes, go ahead.
yes, I do. Deborah, you're on. I'm gonna these pictures that she's going to show you are of the equestrian playground that I took about on my way here.
Okay,
We pulled $17,000 out of the fund to remulch and supply. Until you walk that,
right,
everybody told me about it, but until you walk it,
yeah.
you can see that's one side of it. Go- Show the other. Can you show the other two? There's one that's worse than that. Worse than that. Yeah. Yeah, they progressively get bad. That one.
Wow.
That's a tank trap. What I'm suggesting is, due to Emil's and his team, they were able to find the 115,000 in the regular budget that they were able to put back in, and we didn't have to touch the code fund, which
Right.
is, so it stayed at $322,861. What I'm proposing is to fix that.
Yeah,
December needs additional funds to do
Right.
that. And I'd like to allocate $20,000 to that in this budget to fix that potential lawsuit that's,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's going to go off right off the charts, go for that. And we have the money to do it and to take it out of the, so it's non-millage, take it out of the code lien fund. So that's what I'm proposing.
Great, great. I'm thrilled with it. I had a good conversation with December in the last couple of weeks, and I'm thrilled that you brought this up.
Okay, great. So If the makers of that's all I have. is-
So let me ask a couple questions along that. I'm
Yeah.
100% behind this, but we just passed the budget. I just want to confirm that there's no budget impact for this change.
There's no budget impact.
Okay.
I do have a question since, and I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation
Okay,
with
go ahead.
council. It's the fact that council member mentioned 20. We removed 17. Is this, we adding back the 17, and in addition to that, an additional 20? Or is the 20 replacing the 17 that we removed?
17 plus the 3, plus 3 to equal 20. I
Total
don't
of
think
20.
17 is going to be enough for what I
Good.
saw out there. I think she needs an additional $3,000, so I rounded the figure to 20.
Perfect.
Yeah, we have the funds.
Yeah,
We can use them.
good.
Be-
Put them to
Thank you.
work, put the funds to work.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm good with it.
Yep, likewise.
Jim?
So anyway, if the makers of the motions could modify their motions and
I'll modify my motion to include that adjustment to fix
Yeah.
this.
Who second?
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
So I seconded it. I'm in agreement.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we have a motion and a second that's been amended. Any further comment from the council? Seeing none, is there any comment from the public? This is on the actual millage rate. Okay. Yeah, actually, the budget is the next item. Come on up.
We would like to talk about the fire assessment. Church got.
Okay, why don't you come up to the mic? Please state your name and address. We've actually completed that item a few minutes
Well,
ago, but that's okay,
We thought
that's
we were
okay.
supposed to be called up because we filled out a form and we were waiting to be called up.
Okay, so let me just kind of explain. So this is the budget meeting. When we get done with this meeting, we will go into our regular council meeting, which has public comment, and then we would bring you up. But please, go ahead and speak.
My name is Karen Brook. My address is in Pembroke Pines, 7952 Northwest 19th Court. I am a member, 32 years, of New Horizon United Methodist Church, and I am a member of the Finance Committee. And our budget we have received your 2023 proposed fire assessment fees. It has gone up 32% from last year. And last year it was $17,700. This year it's $23,000. Our church is small. It's a faith-based community. We are a nonprofit. We have maybe 130 people come on a regular basis to our church. 2/3 of them are over the age of 65. They are on fixed incomes. This is not doable for our budget. It is putting a strain on our finances. In fact, we're already in the red for the entire summer. This June, July, and August, we are in the red. We are looking forward to not having a church. And I don't know how we go about appealing this and getting some relief in this area because it's just not doable for us. So I appreciate you hearing me out. I don't know if there is a way to appeal it. I would like to know. And I thank you for listening.
Great, thank you for coming up. Absolutely, absolutely.
Joseph Kenny, 11030 Northwest 17th Court, Pembroke Pines, for the same church. We're considered under this fire assessment to be institutional as opposed to recreational or residential, as opposed to residential. Is there a different fire millage rate for that?
I'll answer your question. Is there anything else?
Well,
I'll wait till you
that
get done.
Well, is it also, is our rate based on the square footage of the property? That's another question we have.
Okay.
About the percent of increase, it doesn't seem, it seems excessive.
Okay,
for the
I'll
levy
explain
rate.
that to you.
Okay,
Okay, is there anything else?
no,
Okay, then,
okay.
thank you.
All right.
Thanks for coming up. Is there any other public comment? Okay, seeing none, public comment closed. So this is an item we've actually been working on for the last few years. And a couple years ago, several years ago, prior to COVID, right, the churches were broken out into their own separate line item, and I'm trying to remember, I think it was institutional, I think is what it was, if I remember right. Don't hold me to that, but that's my recollection. And it was just the churches. And so they had a lot of control over what this cost was going to be. COVID hit, and I always hate to blame everything on COVID, but it made a big difference. When COVID hit, people were staying at home, and it really changed the dynamics of the fire assessment. And one of those dynamics is that there were, I'm not going to name names, but there were a number, not a large number, about 3 of the larger churches that, for whatever reason, did not control their, the number of alarms. So what's this based on? Maybe I should start there. So what happens is the fire department counts how many calls they do to residential, to commercial, to churches, to all the different areas, right? All the different types of properties. And at the end of the year, they total them up and they give us totals. And then we divide, depending on how many of those are, by each one of those categories determines what the total cost is going to be for that category. And then that is broken up by, as you said, square footage of those particular units. So with that in mind, there were some churches that did not control what they were doing. They had a ton of calls that were false for false alarms. And so their cost shot way up. And so I don't know if you were involved or not. I know New Horizons was involved. But I had a series of meetings when I first became mayor to talk through this. And we talked about different alternatives and things to do. And what we ended up doing, I'll be honest with you, my recommendation was to leave it as it is and for you all to really get together and kind of self-police. And for those institutions that are not controlling it to kind of say, hey, listen, you're hurting all of us. But that didn't seem like that was a viable situation. And so what we found was that the commercial group was, I hate to say it this way, but it was being more responsible and their cost was lower. And we ended up combining, it actually made sense from a lot of different reasons, but we combined those into one group and it actually brought down the church's overall cost. But that was like 2 or 3 years ago. And now it's slowly creeping up again, or it's quickly creeping up again. And so, so that's kind of the history behind it. We have tried to try and control it, to do, make it a little bit more reasonable. And if you want to continue to have conversations about that, I'm always welcome to have the conversations. But at this point, I think we've really kind of dug through it. But if you were not, I don't recognize you both, so I don't think you were involved in those conversations. And maybe even I don't track the pastors. Maybe the pastors have changed or whatever. But at any rate, that's where we're at. As far as appealing it at this point, I'm not an attorney, so I'm not even going to get into that. I would just, I'm not aware of a path of appeal, but, that's not my. Sir, I'll give you one last time at the mic, but you need to come up to the mic so we get it on the recording.
It's on negotiation.
Okay, just for clarity then, the church is considered to be commercial, institutional is considered commercial. So are we able to obtain a rate chart for commercial? It's
Sure.
not.
Sure, it's
How?
public
How do we
knowledge.
get that?
Right, Emil? I mean, we can provide what the rate is per square foot.
Absolutely, it's actually in the budget. But I can provide you with a sheet to tell you how much is charged for your non-residential.
But since our square footage didn't change from the previous year, but, so there's a. the
So what
percentage-
happens, okay, all right, let me answer that question, then we're gonna close it off.
Okay.
Because really you only get one shot, I've already, all right? So the way it works is, as I said, it's the number of calls, right? So if the number of calls go up, then you get a bigger percentage, you have to cover a bigger percentage of the pie. So I haven't looked at this number, but I suspect the number of calls went up, plus, like anything else, the cost of fire service continues to go up year over year.
Is the
So it's
number of
probably
calls
the
on public
combination of
record?
those two.
Is the number of calls for this particular church on public record?
It is, the number of calls per, at least it was a few years ago when we did our analysis. I assume,
It's-
I don't know if we have it, but we could get it.
We can certainly get it. It's part of the information we get from Davy.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, so it is something that we could, I don't think we don't have it for you tonight, but it
Okay.
is something that is,
But it's obtainable.
it's obtainable.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other public comment? Seeing none, public comment closed. Please call the item.
Okay. This is on the tentative millage rate with
Yep,
the
item number 7.
inclusive of the amendment. Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, thank you. Item number 8, the budget.
Item number 8 is an ordinance on first reading. This is an ordinance of the Town of Southwest Ranches, Florida, approving the budget of the Town of Southwest Ranches for fiscal year 2023 through 2024, commencing October 1st, 2023, and ending September 30th, 2024. Providing for a budget basis, providing for expenditure of funds, providing for carryover of funds, providing for notice, providing for severability, providing for conflict, and providing for an effective date.
Great, thank you. Do I have a motion on the item?
Motion to approve with the changes that were made.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further questions or comments from council? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this item?
Noel Hollingsworth, 199th Avenue. As a general statement, more information is better than less information. And I think that all of the projects for engineering and TISDOR and everything should be listed as what their estimated cost should be as part of the breakdown instead of being one big puddle of money. Same thing for parks, and I asked Emil for the breakdown of 48110, which is on page 94. And down at the bottom, you see the major variance of 48110, which is the very last line of 12,867. On the breakdown he gave me, which is all the different events that they're having this year, which is the farmer's market, which is the additional cost of $12,867, higher due to farmers market year-round events. We have on here a different number, $11,400, a difference of $1,467. Yet the total amount for 48110 is 25,601 on this page, which is in the book, and 25,601, which in this book. I'd like to know what the difference is and why the difference is, not what the difference is. I know what that is. It's $1,467. Why is there a difference? And Keith, glad to see you. Thank you.
Thank you, Newell. Any other public comment? Public comment closed. Emil, can you speak to that?
Yes, thank you, Noel. Basically, when we present the budget and we go to our variance analysis, we pretty much put in the difference of what year over year is, and we indicate of that variance what comprehends the biggest change. In this case, the variance is 12,000. The year over year change is attributable to the farmer's market, of which the biggest variance, again, it's 11,400. So we indicate what the amount year-over-year change is, and then we indicate what makes up the biggest portion of that change.
So you're not detailing the whole change, you're just detailing the biggest portion?
Correct.
I got it. Okay. Great, thank you. The reason why is because there are some minor changes that were not included in that 11,000.
But I asked for it to balance.
All right, Noel, one more, come up, need to get on the mic, so it's on the record.
What I'm hearing is song and dance. You have $12,867 for 2024. On the detail that I asked for, which I asked for every department to be this way in the future, and you agreed last year to do it, but you didn't do it this year, is 11,400. Yet the total amount for the department for this year is 25,601. And it's still, on this one, the detail, 25,601. Where's the other $1,467 that the budget that's published is going to have? Where is it? It's not adding up.
Gotcha. I got it. So I'm going to, Emil, if you could please get with Newell and
Will do.
and provide the difference between those two.
Sounds good.
Thank you. All right, public comment closed. Any other comments? Seeing none, if we can please call the roll.
Councilmember Hartman?
Yes.
Councilmember Jablonski?
Yes.
Councilmember Kozinski?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Albritton?
Yes.
Mayor Bright Cruz?
Yes.
Motion passes.
It's all yours, Gary.
Motion to adjourn?
Thanks. All right, so we will be taking a
7:30.
quick break here, or maybe not so quick break. The next meeting will start at, a regular meeting will start at 7:30, or the LPA. It's been advertised at 7:30 because we didn't know how long the budget meeting would last. So you got right, you came during halftime. Who cares about the Dolphins? The Hurricanes are playing tonight.